Computers keep getting smaller, don't they? We've got the iMac. We've got the Mac Mini. And we've got the Mac Micro. Actually, what you're looking at is what I personally have dubbed the Mac Micro. This is the iPhone X. Now, as far as design is concerned, this thing is beautiful. What's interesting is after my cataract surgery, just real quick, I want to say this. After my cataract surgery, I've had a much greater appreciation for the visual aesthetic of a lot of things. This is just gorgeous from what I've seen, just from a design standpoint alone. This thing's got... It's insane how much power this has. This is... let's take a look, actually, because I've just got the stuff up here. Let's go ahead and take a look through. So pre-orders start October 27th, available November 3rd.
3:00 p.m.
All screen. So here's the home screen. I'm going to pause here for a second so you guys can take a look. This is awesome. They've actually, it looks like they've allowed for an additional row of icons, which I really like. With iPhone X, the device is the display. 5.8-inch Super Retina screen. Now, I've got many subscribers to my channel who are partially or entirely blind. For you guys and gals, one of the things I'm curious about is, will this bigger screen allow for a more spacious Braille keyboard? Now, for those of you who do not know, as somebody who is blind, you know, one would have a hard time navigating those little thumb keyboards. So what Apple has done is to integrate a Braille keyboard directly onto the display. You would rotate your iPhone to landscape mode to type out on a 6-dot Braille keyboard. Now, unfortunately, depending on the screen size, that Braille keyboard can be a little bit cramped. I, for instance, tried the iPhone SE, and for short little jaunts, I think it'd be fine for, say, a sentence or two. But I would not recommend writing a book on the SE. At least, this is just my opinion, and I've got big hands, okay? If you have smaller hands, you'd probably be better off. But the point is, the iPhone X, bigger screen, might result in a more spacious Braille keyboard. I don't know. We'll just have to see. So here it is from the side. If you look at it from the side, and strictly from the side, there really isn't much in it. They've gone from a matte metal finish over to stainless steel. It's basically from the top that things get different. The top, the front, and the back. So they put a whole bunch of marketing hype behind this. The first OLED screen to be up to Apple's premium standards, whatever. This is interesting. So we've got this little cap here at the top, and this little cap allows for the earpiece, for the proximity sensor, for the FaceTime, front FaceTime camera, but it also allows for some new technology that houses the bones, the DNA, the foundation of Face ID. And we'll take a look at that in a moment. Here's the back. If I were to get this, and it's a big if I were to get this, I would get the silver one. I really, really love that silver. That's awesome. Full water resistance. Now, you wouldn't want to go swimming with it, I don't think, but if you end up accidentally dropping it in the sink while washing your hands, you'd be fine. I know I wouldn't want to go swimming with it. So again, we highlight this new screen. For those of you who cannot see, there was an animation here of um, unlocking the device, or actually, no, I'm sorry, going home, because there's no home button. There's no home button, and there's also no Touch ID sensor. I mentioned a moment ago Face ID. We'll get into that in just a moment. But you swipe up from the bottom now to get to your home screen. You swipe down from the top to get to your notification center, to your control center. Now, I'm not sure if that means notifications are going to be in the same area or what and all. Maybe they're going to relegate it. They didn't go into detail on this. Either that or I missed something. But maybe they would assign each of the corners around the earpiece, which is part of the screen, by the way. Say the right corner, which at the moment houses the cellular, Wi-Fi, and battery signal to the control center, and the left to the notification center. I honestly don't know. Or maybe it's to swipe in from the main home screen over to your notifications. I honestly don't know. It'd be interesting to see how that's going to work out. So we talk about here about familiar gestures, make navigation intuitive, etc., etc. Here we go. Face ID. And you notice, by the way, that I'm scrolling through here. This is literally all on the Apple website. You're welcome to just Google iPhone 10, which is X, the Roman numeral 10, and take a look at this for yourself. But I'm just going to give you my thoughts. Your face is now your password. Now, they've actually managed to talk to, and this is interesting, they've talked to people who are experts in clay mask design and worked with an AI algorithm, which is actually built into the processor on the iPhone 10. It's called the A11 neuron engine, to basically make it, hopefully, and I stress the hopefully because we'll have to see how this works in person, hopefully make it impossible for the phone to be fooled by somebody wearing a mask or by somebody who is trying to unlock their phone with a photo of you. As I recall, Samsung had some issues with that. So here is the Face ID. Here is the Face ID training screen. Now, they didn't show it in this photo, but if you go to Apple's mobile site and take a look at this page, at the very bottom, and for people who are blind, you're going to love this, they've got an item on the bottom of the screen, very bottom of the screen, where the home button used to be. Because this is literally edge-to-edge glass, in case anybody's wondering who cannot see. What you're going to have, basically, is a device about the size of the iPhone 6 or 6 Plus or 7 or 7 Plus. But the difference is that there's no bezel. There is absolutely no bezel whatsoever, with the exception of the very small ones outlining the edge of the screen. Compared to the old iPhone, you may as well say there's no bezel. So the bottom area where the home button used to be in this Face ID training screen has an option that literally says accessibility options. So I'm going to be very interested to see how VoiceOver handles Face ID and how that's going to work out. So again, we talked about a moment ago about the hardware behind Face ID. This is part of it. The True Depth camera, basically what it does is it creates a collection of dots along your face to map your facial patterns, and it's supposed to adapt to how you change over time. For instance, if you want to change, ladies, if you wear makeup, gentlemen, if you decide to grow a beard, if you wear hats, if you want to change your hairstyle, that sort of thing, it should be able to recognize your face. And the Face ID is going to be used for more than just logging in. They also showed it off with Apple Pay. I hope this works better because I only used Apple Pay once. Right after I got my iPhone 6 Plus, I tried it at a McDonald's, and it just wouldn't go through. And I'm not sure if that's because it was my iPhone's problem or if it was the kiosk at the restaurant that was having the problem, but we ended up just paying with cash because there was a line behind us. After that, I decided not to bother with it anymore. So now they're talking about, now we've got a collection of new items in the camera app that allow for you to create what are essentially DSLR quality portraits. Now, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how this works in practice. I remember they touted that on the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus with the secondary camera, but we'll just have to see. They've also got studio lighting, which allows you to mimic taking photos in a studio while outdoors. This is my absolute favorite feature of the new iPhone 10, Animoji. For instance, I could, we all know, for those of you who do not know, iOS 11 does have the ability to record your screen. So what I'm thinking is somebody out there could take a video, say, of, for instance, this video that you're watching right now, listening to me speak, and instead of seeing me or a bunch of pictures, you could see this cat actually moving around as the narrator for a video. Now, that would be fun. That would, I swear, it's not worth the asking price in my opinion, but the idea behind it is just, I just loved it. Again, this is thanks to the True Depth camera that also allows for Face ID. Dual 12 megapixel cameras. And for those of you who cannot see, the camera housing has been moved over to a vertical orientation. If you're looking at the iPhone, if you have the screen facing the palm of your hand, the camera is in the top left corner. It does have a noticeable camera bump. And it basically goes from top to bottom. You've got camera, flash, and just below the flash to the immediate right is a little microphone and the bottom camera. They've completely redesigned the hardware for the camera. A larger 12 megapixel sensor, deeper pixels, telephoto camera with optical image stabilization. Again, we go back to the depth sensing cameras. Both rear cameras have OIS. Superhuman intelligence, A11 Bionic. This is the processor I was talking about. This is the meat and the bones of, in addition to the depth camera, this is the core of Face ID and of this brand new experience with the Animoji and AR. The phone does have the ability to utilize augmented reality services, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. That pans out. So the A11 Bionic, most powerful and smartest chip ever in a smartphone with neural engine that is capable of up to 600 billion operations per second. Whoop-de-doo. What does that mean in practice? We'll have to see. Again, they tout their usual 70% faster than the prior generation. And machine learning, again, I talked about this earlier. Machine learning allows for Face ID to adapt to changes in your appearance, and again, that's all thanks to the Neural engine. They've also put in a bigger battery, new GPU, 30% faster, and again, we talk about augmented reality. This dinosaur is standing in this basketball court, man. It's like, what? Wireless charging. They also introduced something that's called Air Power, which is basically a glorified, super high-end charging pad that allows you to utilize the pad to charge multiple devices, and the iPhone itself can be the catalyst of all these devices, allowing you to see the status of all of them at once. So Air Power, iOS, we already know about iOS 11, so I'm not going to go back into that. Why do I call it a Mac Micro? Why do I call it a Mac Micro? This is why I call it a Mac Micro. $999 to start for 128 gigabytes. That's as much as a MacBook Air. If you're going to make a device that costs that much and make it, it's going to be a phone that costs that much, you may as well turn the Macs into dummy units, and this thing had better have the guts to replace your Mac for the majority of average consumers. Whether that'll happen, I don't know. But to charge $999, as much as a MacBook Air, for that, that's the one thing that irks me about this. That is the one thing that irks me about this. I just think that's wow. What do you guys think? Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice day.